You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, let's start with the big news. And once again, it's someone leaving, not coming. And this time it's Marc Tanguay finally deciding that he will not run for leadership of the party, of the provincial Liberals.
Isn't that like nuts? Because there's like one guy left. It's Frederic Beauchemin. Okay. And it's like there's only 19 people in the caucus. But you know what? We're kind of chuckling here. But on the other hand, I think we've given away some of the secret sauce that, the recipe that we use to make the show. And I will send in my topics. And when I sent in my topics this morning, I had said that it looked like that Marc Tanguay was going to be subjected to the same kind of treatment that Dominique Anglade had, which is anonymous sources within the party, perhaps the caucus, perhaps the administration, decide to, pick up the phone and start whining to various journalists, which is basically how Dominique Anglade got undercut. And then when it was clear, that the knives were in, then people started going public. And I think today's quick reaction to this, because the Radio Canada report that cited these anonymous sources saying, listen, this guy's going to have to fish or cut bait. We don't know what the future of the party is. He's going to run. He's not going to run. I think he basically said, you know what, not for me. And which I think, honestly, guys, is the essential for everyone who said no. It's you know what, I don't need the issue. I don't need the problems. I don't need the irritation. Let someone else twirl with this. It's going to be a monumental task to try and rebuild the party. So, maybe, Joel Lightbound, Liberal MP up in Quebec City, says he might be interested in the job. Will other people pipe up? I think it's really, really going to depend on how many more times we're going to see anonymous sources within the Quebec Liberal Party reach out to the media to complain. I
mean, listen, the party is in, we were reticent to use the word shambles earlier, but the reality is that that's the situation. But Marc Tanguay deciding not to run is ultimately a good thing, is it not? It was very weird. It was a conflict of interest, in my opinion, that he was interim leader for what was way longer than interim, it seems, and then was going to potentially run to be the leader.
Well, here's the thing. Until these people get their act together and realize that, I've said this repeatedly, the clock is ticking for the Quebec Liberal Party. This idea, we got 2 years, take your time. It's the 21st century, and everybody's decisions are made by swiping left. You stay off the radar for, in politics now, more than a couple of weeks. You're going to see yourself, and that's the word I used, earlier this week. You're going to see yourself fossilized. And it's just like no one's going to care. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter who you recruited. Nobody cares because you're just off the narrative now. And this is the biggest threat facing this party. This incredible, it's been around since 1867, provincial party. And it is in danger of simply fading away because it hasn't figured out how to call attention to itself, even though it's had, a fair amount of time in the political racket to know how to do these things. This is not happening. And when you are not finding, we're not even getting rumors of, this person or this person or this person, the only news we're getting is the people who don't want to have anything to do with the leadership of the Quebec Liberal Party. That, my dear friends, is what you call a death knell.
So let me run this idea by you, Jim. Tell me what you think. They need to do something dramatic, I think, when they announce their new leader. What if they went ahead and poached someone from another party? I don't know, like Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois. Okay.
Well,
let's move on. I'm sorry.
They'd have to pump him full of mind-altering drugs.
Yeah.
First of all.
Okay.
He's the political antithesis of what's represented by the Quebec Liberal Party. But no, straight up. How could you convince someone who actually knows how this game is played to jump into this? I mean, the old metaphor of being handed the captain's hat of the Titanic at the last minute. It's very apt, but it's even worse than that because it's going to be, frankly, an impossible task. And when the party finally disappears, bubbling beneath the waves, you're the one who's going to get blamed. Yeah. You're the one who's going to get remembered, as opposed to the, at this point, decade and a half of incompetence, neglect, arrogance, political aloofness, and amateurism that has been a hallmark of the Quebec Liberal Party, and it's been right in front of us. We had the big hint in 2018 with the first term of the CAQ. And, the paradigm shifted. It's not, federal and separatist. Yeah, but the thing is, The Pecs and the Liberals now are learning that, if the landscape's changed, well, you have to change yourself. And they haven't. Well, we're going to have an exercise in this. You should have been having that exercise 4 years ago. As far as I'm concerned, it's too late.
All right. Weigh in on what was a question for us just not that long ago on Genevieve Guilbault and this scofflaw who apparently forgets time after time after time after time after time after to do up her seatbelt.
Well, I got some questions here. First of all, let's put this in context. The SQ hands out about 25,000 tickets for people not wearing their seat. It's 2023, 25,000 tickets a year, which sort of gobsmacks me.
Yeah.
The other thing is, good for TVA or the Bureau d'Enquête. She's been doing this for 3 years. These pictures have been out there for 3 years, and all of a sudden, well, we noticed there was 5 of them, But listen, I think it's goofy. I cannot, and I grew up. Listen, when I was a little guy, my parents would take me for a drive. I'd be sliding back and forth in the back seat whenever we took a curve, right?
I remember those days.
Because the good news was I was protected by a blanket of secondhand cigarette smoke in case we had a collision. But all that said, I could not get into a vehicle without putting on my seatbelt. Yeah. Although, to be fair, it took me forever, and forever being a few years, to actually buckle up when I'm in the back seat of a cab. But all that said, on the one hand, Quebec transport ministers, by the way, have a history of being highway code scofflaws, right? Julie Boulet was the transport minister, Liberal transport minister, and she got dinged like God knows how many times because basically reporters would follow her, and being clocked at 130, 140, whatever. It's do as I say, don't do as I do. Her Madame Guilbault's apology today was, kind of diaphanous. It was, I'm only a person, But it's pretty. And don't forget, 3 years ago, she was the Minister of Public Security. In other words, she was the minister responsible for cops pulling you over and giving you a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt. So this story just gets juicier and juicier. But in the end, I got to be fair. Every year, Madame Guilbault has a lot of company.
Okay, that doesn't make it right or wrong. I understand.
But
by the way, I will tell you, I'm as astonished as you were to find that they give out 25,000 tickets a year for people not wearing seatbelts. That's a story to me. But does she get taken to the woodshed on this?
Oh, it depends how long they keep talking about it, Aaron.
Well, she should have apologized
cabinet
properly.
Minister who, when was asked about, and she was public security minister, well, what if someone is found to be in violation of Bill 21? Which is, wearing ostentatious religious things at work. She said, you call the police. Still slapping my forehead over that one.
Okay.
I think if she'd apologized properly, it would go away a whole lot more
there is that.
quickly.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to make sure I get you to comment on this Sir John A. Macdonald statue that will never see the light of day again, although the plaque will continue to be seen in broad daylight. Not the plaque, the stand, I guess.
They've decided to take the Jimmy Hoffa approach with this, and honestly, you can cut the hypocrisy on this whole story with a blowtorch, which in fact was used in 1992 to saw off Sir John A.'s head originally. It got spot welded back on, and when that mob of protesters decided to tip it over, the head snapped off because it was spot welded on.
Hey,
okay. So poor Sir John A. has been getting the short end now for quite some time. But all that said, I'm really hoping, guys, that whatever interpretive display will be there to be put on the plinth. Will first of all include all the details of the vandalism done to this statue. And I also hope the City of Montreal is as diligent in examining every single monument to every single, personnage in Montreal, especially those with the administration of New France. Because, this whole idea that it's an anti-colonialism, Montreal was a colony, okay? So everything was colonial about it. If everyone is lily white and super clean, fine. If not, I fully expect to see interpretive plaques slapped on every statue.
That's right. That'll be the new style for Montreal.
Starting with Sieur de Maisonneuve in Place d'Armes, where he looks like a Wild West hero with his musket and his sword, and everyone crouching around him. A most notable First Nations person crouching around him, sort of like cowering. I mean, it's good news they got rid of the commemorative plaque at the BMO building across the square, where it said, it was on this spot that Paul Cyr, he killed the Mohawk with his own hands. Mm-hmm. They kind of got rid of that, although that's what happened. But let's hope that we are as diligent in sharing the full history of Montreal and not just covering up those parts that seem to be rather problematic for the current administration. And frankly, I think if this administration was as concerned with truth and reconciliation as it claimed, we would have seen a City of Montreal crane in there years ago hauling that statue away. It didn't happen. But now, city's hands are clean. Sorry, we'll try and find a place to store it. They're not going to find a place to store it because no one in their right mind is going to take it because it'd be a magnet for vandals.
Yeah.
So you know what?
Well, they could do like a treasure hunt. See if you, Jim, they could do a treasure hunt. See if you can find where the John A. Macdonald statue has been
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, just as an idea. We're late. We got to go. Jim, thank you.
Adam.